Hello, everyone, and welcome Dr. Anthony Mattis to a call that I think could contribute to a lot of people here tonight, especially because none of us are healers.
Or are we?
I wonder.
Yeah. So how's everybody doing? We're good?
Yeah.
All right. So are you going first or am I going first?
You're going first?
Okay. All right. So hi everybody, welcome. So I guess we wanted to do this call as a kind of an invitation to the opening of the symphony class and the 3-day body class that we're having at the end of January in India and the first weekend in February. And so we were trying to think of a topic that would be of interest to the people of India and the surrounding areas as well about, accessing, the healer in you. So a lot of people have the point of view that like if they're not in a healing profession or something that maybe they don't have a capacity to heal, which is not true. I mean, if you actually just start with your body, whether you're an accountant or a lawyer, the body doesn't know the difference. Your body is a self-healing and self-regulating organism, right? And there are things that happen on automatic pilot because of the consciousness within the body, and some people may refer to that as innate intelligence or universal intelligence. And access, we just like to keep it simple. We just say it's consciousness. It's the consciousness within all things. And so it's really cool. The thing about the consciousness within the body is when we're not willing to actually listen to our bodies, sometimes we start to become at the effect of the world around us. Whereas if we started to recognize our body as the key, instead of like a lock, or instead of something to be judged, or instead of something that begins to degrade when you hit a certain age, what if we looked at our body as the gift that it is, the miracle that it is, and the consciousness that actually is within it? Because if we began to look at our body as the consciousness that's within it, then we could utilize our body as more of an information resource center where it allows us to access information about the world around us, both the physical world and the non-physical world. The thing is that there's really not a playground, or let's say up until access consciousness, you get bits and pieces throughout other different modalities and all that stuff, especially a lot of like natural holistic type of modalities and things like that. But access has taken things to, from my point of view, to a whole different level, where it begins to teach you how to access different muscles that we're not taught really anywhere, which number one is to learn how to be in the question instead of the conclusion, right? So what if we asked our body questions daily about what it requires, about what it would like to eat? We typically bypass those things based on our culture, based on the holidays, based on let's celebrate, let's get drunk and eat a lot of food that our body doesn't want to eat because we're sad, or because we're happy, or because we're celebrating a wonderful occasion. It's like we have all these reasons and justifications, basically punish our bodies, and then we have all these reasons and justifications not to enjoy our bodies, right? It's wrong to receive lust. It's wrong to lust. It's bad. It's a violation of the sacred vows you take with your husband. What if lust was just merely an energy? We don't make breathing the air wrong. So why would we make any energy wrong? Right? Energy is just energy. It's up to us in terms of what we decide to do with it, right? You could use the energy around you and within you for evil, and you could use it to create greater for yourself and everyone around you. It really just is a choice at the end of the day. But we do live in a reality where polarity is valued, right is valued, wrong is not valued, but it's still something that we fight against, right? So it's like, if we have a particular point of view about the way things should be, how you should worship God or the higher power or the gods, whatever, and what a marriage is supposed to look like, heterosexual marriage to same-sex marriage. I mean, there's all these different points of view. It's like we live in a world of polarity, and our body starts to become at the effect of it. So going back to the healer, from my interesting point of view, it's in order to access more of the healer within you, being out of control and being in interesting point of view about everything will help to exponentialize your healing capacities, not only for your own body, but for what you could actually contribute to others around you. Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, he says, for every point of view you take, a right point of view, a wrong point of view, a bad point of view, a good point of view, for every point of view you take about anything, it actually creates a physical solidification that locks into your body. An ouchie, as I say to my kids when they were growing up, it creates a lot of ouchies. So how many of you like to do a lot of control? Especially when you love someone, right? If it's your children. So how many of you love to control the crap out of your children because you know what their choices are going to create in their future, but you know best because you're a parent and you've been down that road before, and you know if you choose this, this, and this, it's going to create this, right? So you try to control your kids, and if kids have any sense of power and or independence, they're going to actually choose the opposite just so that they prove that they can. Not always, right? Unless your kid's a robot and then he does everything that mom and dad says all the way up until the time they die. But that's not a very fun existence, is it? To
I
live
have
your
a
life.
question, Anthony. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
cutting you.
Okay.
I just want to go back to what you talked about the resource that the body has. Could I ask you to elaborate on that, please?
Well, yeah, I mean, your body is just always giving you information about the world around you. It's constant. There is no vacation from it. So you're picking up on people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And not just people with bodies, it's even with the spirit world, you're picking up on the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of entities, of ghosts. You're picking up on the consciousness of the earth. You're picking up on the consciousness or unconsciousness of, let's say, your home, the physical structure of your actual home. When you go out and buy furniture, if it's old furniture, especially like antiques, for example, you're picking up on the consciousness of the previous owners of that particular item. So your body is giving you information about the world around you. Now, I mean, now it's like even more amplified because, we have technology that puts us in constant contact with the entire world. However, it's also filtered through what they want you to see, right? So most of us are reacting to what we're observing through technology. So again, we are being bombarded by information all the time. And if we're not constantly in question about what we're aware of, then we will tend to become at the effect of it. So one of the things we learned at the beginning of access classes is to always ask, for every thought, feeling, and emotion, who does this actually belong to? What's my reality with this? Whatever it is. What are the right foods for me? What are the right drinks for me, for my body? Not this person's body, not this health expert's body, but for my body. And a lot of it is an exploration. It's an exploratory process. You need to explore what works for you in your body. And then it's just a matter of, do you actually have the consciousness, the willingness, the adoration for your body, enough so where you would actually honor it and do what actually works for you.
Thank you for that. And Malvika also has a question. She's asking what to do when teenager kid is choosing smoking, drinking, how not to become a control freak mother. I choose, I fail, I choose, I fail.
Yeah, I hear you. And that if our children tend to kind of go through those particular phases, it's not easy as a parent to watch them destroying their lives. So I'll give you one of the clearings that Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, gave me a long time ago, is what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can me and my body be to be the perfect, controlling, superior asshole I truly be for all eternity. Did I say controlling? The perfect, controlling, superior asshole parent I truly be for all eternity. See, it's like you have to recognize how controlling you are. Be willing to indulge in the energetics of that, but then use the tools to destroy and uncreate where you're doing that, because all that ultimately does is suffocate your children, and then you're going to choose more of it. And I haven't mastered this at all, especially when it comes to my kids. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's really, really a challenge for me still to this day after 12 years of doing Access. And now my children are 23, almost 21 and 15. But what I can tell you is the times that I actually let go and give them space to either create or decay their lives, they end up reaching for me and my assistance and guidance. When I try to step in front of them and control them and try to give them advice that they're not even asking me for, they separate and they end up choosing more shit. So I'm not saying it's easy. All I'm saying is what I've learned. And what I've learned is if we don't allow them to choose for themselves and get the awarenesses from themselves, they're going to actually choose the opposite of what you're hoping they will, just so they can prove that they can. They have to discover their own way. They have to discover their own way. And sometimes that's really hard, because sometimes our children may be making choices that could kill them, or they'll end up in rehab or something. And that's probably the most difficult one for me, because I'm always someone who, I got lots of points of view about death. You know what I mean? So as a parent, you got to do everything possible to protect your children. You know, but what if that protection is the thing that creates the suffocation and contributes to them choosing more shit? They're going to choose what they're going to choose anyway. And at the end of the day, all you can sort of count on is that whatever seeds of consciousness you put into the universe will begin to sort of germinate and take on. But the only way they're going to know is if they make the choices on their own. Manju?
Hi, Anthony.
Hello.
So my question is healing a default activity of the body, or do we get to choose when we can heal with our bodies or not?
Well, it is. I mean, the human body is meant to heal. I mean, if you were to, scratch your leg, what's going to happen within the next 2 to 3 days? It's going to form a scab, right? It's not something that you said, okay, body, activate scab formation. You know what I mean? It happens automatically. The food that you ate today, right now, your body is creating certain hormones and enzymes and so forth to digest and assimilate your food and to eventually excrete it out of your body. Okay. So these things are happening on automatic pilot. These aren't conscious choices that you're making. But the interesting thing about our bodies is our bodies are loudspeakers for what we be, for what we tell it. It's just listening to our direction. So those things that are innate and are supposed to function normally, start to get disrupted based upon your control, your points of view, okay, your conclusions about things. Everything you've decided is so gets set in your body as concrete and solid. Okay, so if you have strong points of view about stuff, let's say if you're really super controlling and you're this way for a really, really long time, well, what might that create? Maybe constipation, stiff muscles. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just to name a couple of things that we, you know, that are symptoms that people are plagued with. So, if, you know, if you're someone who always has to be right, if you're in a relationship, what's that going to create for your partner? You think they're going to want to make love to you? You think their body and sexual organs are going to relax in such a way where they get turned on if you're a controlling asshole? You get what I mean? But our bodies are meant to be turned on. They're meant to be turned on. If you could actually choose to be in relationship with someone, I mean, it's like, that's part of the joy of embodiment. But I don't know how many, I'm sorry, but how many people choose marriage, maybe for the money or to perpetuate a bloodline, right? We have all these different points of view about how the way things should be. And a lot of those points of view don't really contribute to the body functioning at a high level.
So being out of control is actually going to assist our bodies to function better.
Well, being out of control, it's really being in question, which is out of control. Because most of us function from conclusion, which is being in control. So when we say out of control, it doesn't mean, oh, go out and, you know, get drunk and get naked and shag every person you see that you're turned on by. No, it's about living in and as the question, you know, especially when you have things going on with your body, you know, body, what is this? You know, what do we do with this? Can we change it? If so, how? And the body may say, yeah, go to a medical doctor, go get some medicine. How did you get so lucky? We live in 2024. We have medicines available for us. But then you have people who are relatively healthy that are automatically put on medicine when all they have to do is make some changes based on certain awarenesses, and they wouldn't need the medicines. Do you get what I mean? So it's like medicine to me today has become this thing where it's like the main thing instead of the thing to use maybe as an emergency. Do you get what I mean? It's like, what if the main thing could be consciousness, awareness, question? And I'm not even saying proper diet and nutrition, because who the hell knows what that is? You're like, for you, Manju, like, it may be totally different than what it is for me. And you're the one who's responsible for being on that journey for what works for you. And I'm the one who's responsible for being on that journey, what works for me. But all these things like food and drink should be medicinal. Ultimately, it shouldn't be something that's effort for our body to have to break down. It should be something that when we consume it, creates greater. That's generative. All the choices you make. I mean, you design clothes, right? It's like even the clothes that we wear. What if all the clothes we wear contributes to our body healing itself?
Yeah. Another question was, so are our bodies also constantly healing the environment that we are in along
Yeah,
with?
absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that most of you are on this call, it's like you have an innate ability to heal people and things around you. So your body will tend to pick up on, your body will tend to be like a sponge where you actually like pull things out of people's bodies and you absorb it into yours. And that's, again, that's just awareness, right? So if we don't acknowledge or turn toward our awarenesses, we will tend to be at the effect of them. right? So if your body walks by someone's body who's breaking down, decaying, and dying, your body may pick up some information that's going on in the other person's body, and then your body starts taking it on. Or especially if you have certain points of view, let's say someone you love who's dying or not feeling well, we will tend to pick up on their suffering as a way to heal them. It's not like something we do consciously. Well, some people do it consciously, but most of this happens on a very unconscious level. And then before you know it, our body is starting to mimic someone else's body that we care about. And so our bodies start to not feel so well. And these are the kind of things we learn in access classes to learn how to deal with and have ease with and not be at the effect of.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. But we could go in all different directions when it comes to having this type of conversation, because, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, just a simple touch can save someone's world. It can enlighten someone's world. So if you're willing to be all of you, just by your very presence creates change and possibilities.
Hey,
Wow.
Anthony.
Hi, Rena. How are
Hi.
you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
When you spoke about um, your body can be evil, what was that? Um,
No, not the body.
yeah,
Like, well, I'm talking about like energy could be used for whatever. It could be used to create greater in the world, or it could be used to create evil. Yeah, not the
can you
body.
talk? Can you talk?
The body just does whatever you tell it to do. You know, that's why you want to
Okay.
really be aware of how you're instructing it. You know, the body, again, has an innate intelligence. There's things that are happening automatically, right? Like your heart's beating right now on its own. You're not saying heart beat, right? But if you start, let's say, for example, judging your body, well, guess what your body will start to conform to? That judgment.
Yeah.
Let's take tall people, for example. Maybe they're ashamed of being tall, right? As they're growing up. What do they start to do to sort of fit in? They start to slouch. And then when they grow up to be an adult, they sort of like have this curved back. Why? Because they had shame. They weren't proud of being tall. They weren't proud of standing above the rest. They actually had shame. They didn't want to be seen. They didn't want to be noticed. It doesn't even necessarily have to be tall people. It could even be short people who don't want to be seen. So it's like when you constantly say, I don't want to be seen, I don't want to be seen, I don't want to be seen, what may that create in someone's body? Slouching. Okay, so your body's a loudspeaker it ultimately becomes a loudspeaker for the information you actually give it and the way that you resist and react and be with the world around you. And
Wow.
it's just, it's like it has this beautiful intelligence, and yet it's also moldable. It's malleable according to what your reality is and your points of view.
Wow. So you create or you destroy, or you create evil with your body, or you
Exactly.
create.
Exactly. You can
Thank you.
create and generate, or you can destroy. It's just a choice. And it could be with a simple point of view.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How many of you make choices with and for your body through the filters of your parents' points of view, or grandparents, or your culture's point of view? I mean, my mom would get so offended because I wouldn't eat home cooked meals that she would make because it would just basically tear my stomach up. Was it delicious? Sure. But when I was done eating, it was awful. It was like all my energy was spent trying to digest the food, and I was unhappy, cranky, and irritable. But I had to worry about offending my mother. The whole time, if I say no, for the next 2 hours, I'm defending my choice not to eat it because she takes it personal. It's an insult, right? It's like simple little things like that. And so therefore, then we make a choice against our own bodies so we can make someone else happy. So their worth and value has been validated. It's not against you, but my body doesn't like to eat this. I don't care if it's part of our family tradition. You know, these are just small little examples of what we do on a daily basis, you know, and that's just with food. I don't know why I'm on this food topic. Maybe because it's the holidays here in the United States and everybody's eating like crazy, right? It's a reason and justification to overeat. You go home, you visit your family at this time of year, and you get together, and everybody cooks the old meals that everybody loved, right? But then everybody's either really hungover because we're all drinking too much, or, you know, everybody starts getting fatter, you know, because we're eating too much. It's like there's no question. And what I've come to really discover over this last year is that we could use food to create, or we could use food to destroy. And I'm not even talking about looking good. I'm just talking about what it actually creates. So that's been a really interesting journey for me personally. And
we have
what
another
else?
couple of, sorry. We
Yeah,
have
please.
a couple of more questions, Anthony. There's Radhika's asking, how can we stop picking up, absorbing on the pain of others on unconscious level? And Jatinder says the same question, please.
Question. It's a great question, and it's practice, because obviously when we're the ones feeling a pain in our body, right? Or when we're the ones having the actual symptom, it's a very difficult concept to say, oh, anywhere from 50% to 100% of the time, it's not ours. That's a difficult concept to understand, especially if you're in the medical profession. It's like they don't teach you that in school. I went to chiropractic school. Like, they didn't even teach us that in school. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if you have the neck pain, it's your neck pain. Well, is it? Or are you just trying to carry your whole family on your shoulders? If you're trying to save everybody, if you're the type of person who loves everyone so much so you want everybody else to be happy, you got to carry everybody on your shoulders, energetically speaking. You got to make sure everybody's taken care of all the time. What about you? Do you think that may take a toll on your body? Absolutely. So one of the things you could do is you start asking questions to your body. Body, who does this belong to? And sometimes you may not know. It may not be connected to your mom. It may not be connected to your father. It may not be connected to your grandparents or your children. You may be aware of people you don't even know. Okay, it's very similar to when you turn the radio on in your car. Well, where's the music coming from? It's coming from some satellite, right? There's some frequency. Well, what if picking up on people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions is the same? What if picking up on people's body pains, bodily symptoms is the same? What if our body is like an antenna receiving information all the time from the world around you? So you start to learn how to get present with the question of who does this belong to. And these are the things that we explore in the very first class you have in Access Consciousness, which is the bars. And then you go on to foundation, and then you go on to like a 3-day body class where you really start to explore what the information your body is giving you, not just from the physical world, but from the non-physical world. So we have body processes to help create awarenesses for you and to dissipate those energies. We have verbal facilitation that helps to remove the unconsciousness and anti-consciousness in this area, so you could begin to get clarity as to what your body requires, okay, or what you require to create the life you desire. It's not just about body stuff. It's also about creating the life you desire too. So all the tools that we have in Access are designed to give you more awarenesses of how to change what's not working in your life. So it's not one thing. It's many different things. But exploring who does this belong to, and not always concluding that it's definitely yours because you're the one who's suffering from it. Now, this is not to eliminate medical doctors or naturopathic doctor, because your body may say, go to the medical doctor. The body may say, you know what, go to a naturopathic doctor, try them first. And if they don't work, then maybe you can go to the medical doctor. Consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. Okay, but if I create a situation to where my body needs to go to a medical doctor and then I have all these crazy diagnoses, the first thing I'm going to do is, hey, body, what do you require here? Show me, guide me. I'm sorry for not listening to you. I'm sorry for not paying attention. What do you require? And it's amazing the information your body will give you. So it's a new muscle that we all have to build to actually start trusting the information our bodies are giving us, because we've been functioning so long as that we're the key and we have the solution, when a lot of times we're actually the lock and our body actually has a solution, but you just haven't been paying attention to it.
So, Anthony,
Uh-huh.
a lot of people come and they say, "Oh, I have this problem. What process should I use?" And if you tell them, ask your body, everyone's looking for a quick fix solution. How do we help them?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. This is where you practice. How we help them is to not give them the answer. If we sit there and say, for this condition, run this process, and sometimes we will say that. Sometimes it's like, okay, boom, try this. But most of the time it is like, ask your body. Your body's going to pick a body process. Let's say, for those of you who have already been to a 3-day body class, open up your manual, ask your body, what process will create the greatest ease, communion, and possibilities? Open up your book to the table of contents, and then boom, whichever one that pops out is the one your body chooses, or your body may actually like lean forward to it. This is a new muscle that we have to build. None of us are taught in school or university. We're all taught to find the answer, especially those of us who have strong metaphysical backgrounds. It's like, lung problems means grief. Digestive problems means low self-esteem. Neck and shoulder problems means you're carrying the world's burden on your shoulders. No, that doesn't mean that. Maybe for some people it does, but for some people it may mean your neck problems, maybe you're a controlling bastard. You know what I mean? Seriously, it can mean that, right? Or it can mean your husband's the pain in your neck. Or if you have sciatica, for example, which is, you get the sharp pain going down your ass and down into your legs and sometimes into your feet. Well, you may want to ask, who's the pain in my ass? Or what's the pain in my ass? Remember, our bodies are loudspeakers for what's going on in the world around us. It may not be you have sciatica because you fell off the ladder 10 years ago. It may be your husband's your pain in your ass. He's constantly up your ass. So you ask questions and you get awarenesses so that you could actually make different choices. But there is no like, this equals this equals this. It's not. It's really about following the energy. And that's what I love about, the tools of Access. And it's like, and Access is not the end all be all either. When I ask questions, sometimes I get an awareness to go to the medical doctor. Or sometimes I get the awareness to go see a chiropractor, go get a massage. All the time. I get, and it's wonderful. It's like, oh, wow, that was really cool. I followed my awareness and it created the change. And here's where people who have been doing Access, where they really judge themselves, especially facilitators. They have this point of view that like, because now they're an Access consciousness facilitator, that they should never be depressed. They should never have anxiety anymore. They should never have doubt. They should never have bodily issues, because if they do, then they're a bad facilitator and they suck at what they do. No, your body is giving you awareness. When Gary Douglas, the founder, who's 81 years old now, the founder of Access Consciousness, he got shingles, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? Did he make himself wrong? No. But what came out of that was him constantly asking his body for the awareness around it. And what came out of it was a lot of verbal processing clearings that's changed a lot of people's lives, and a lot of advanced body processes and newer basic body processes that's changed a lot of our lives. There is no reaching the top of the cosmic conscious mountaintop. And once you do, as an Access facilitator, you will have total communion and oneness, and you will never have pain or suffering. You will always be illuminated for all the days of your life. And should you get sick and need antibiotics, you are a gross failure. Everything that is times a godzillion. For those of you who know the access clearing statement, we all revoke or can't rescind, reclaim, renounce, announce, destroy, and create that insane point of view. Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shorts, boys, povids, and beyond. So what? Thank God we have antibiotics. Take an antibiotic, take an ibuprofen if you need to. Hell, when I went to India, not the last time, but the time before COVID, man, I had the worst loosies of my life. I had a fever. I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't stop sitting on the toilet, man. And we went to the Taj Mahal and it was so hot. And I thought I was going to pass out and faint. And then I felt like I was in a Mad Max movie. I saw all sorts of human beings that looked like creatures. And I'm like, got the loosies. And then I didn't know how to poop in the toilets because they were in the ground. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I finally found a regular toilet. And then there was no toilet paper. I'm like, there's no toilet paper. What am I going to do? I'm bleeding out of my ass. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, everybody. I'm going to poop in my pants. Blood's going to be everywhere. And then, God, I see Julia. She's like, I have toilet paper. Somehow she was psychic and she knew there was no toilet paper. And I'm like running for dear life. And I'm like, throw it to me. Throw me the toilet. So she throws it. And I catch it and the toilet paper is like flying in the air. And then I go run and, so it's like I had the loosies. I needed antibiotics. Thank God we had a friend that was a doctor and he was able to get us antibiotics and whatever. And oh my God. And after like 5 days of bleeding, I'm like, I'm going to take an Imodium. Does that make me a bad facilitator? You know what I mean? No, I took an Imodium because I couldn't poop anymore. I couldn't stand it. I was done pooping. I had wiped my ass too many times. It didn't want to be wiped anymore, so I needed to stop it. So I took an Imodium, Anyway, puck and pot, everything that brought up. So did I go home thinking like, what a bad facilitator I am? No. But that's how we get crazy, and then we judge ourselves. And we're like, oh, the tools don't work. You know what? I was drinking the shower water. Bad mistake. That was dumb on my part. My tummy wasn't used to whatever's in there. You know what I mean? So anyway, hopefully that brought some humor to some of you. Yeah, so, our bodies are a gift. We're all healers. And I don't care what profession you're in. You have an innate ability to heal. Could you imagine if we lived in a world where people held hands, people hugged more? And I'm not trying to sound like this hippie from the 60s that's tripping on LSD. Be like, oh, peace, love, and harmony. That's all bullshit. But what if we forget about the actual act of holding someone's hand or hugging someone. What about the willingness or the ability to actually receive it? How many of you struggle with actually receiving a proper hug? You may do like one of these. You do this little tap thing instead of actually like hug somebody. What would that create? And I know there's a lot of scientific evidence about what that actually creates when you actually let that in. As far as like all the neurotransmitters that start firing and all that, all the feel-good hormones and all that. Someone who's a medical doctor probably knows. But then they might say, well, that's just placebo. Bullshit. You know what? Hey, if placebo healed my cancer, would you give a shit? I wouldn't. Would you? But, I love to hug, but there are certain cultures that goddamn don't know how to fucking hug or receive a hug. And it's sad. But what would that create for your body? How much hardness?
Anthony.
Hold on a second. How much hardness do you have to have, not just in your body, but in your reality, to not be able to receive a hug? Now, some people are like Chester the Molesters, okay? When they hug you, they like do it in a weird, pervy kind of way. I get that. All right? But that's a whole nother topic for another day.
Yeah. But you
We'll
know,
talk
Anthony, you're talking about a hug. I mean, in a country like India, even a touch is considered inappropriate. You know,
I
in
know.
so many areas, so many parts of India, even now, like, you know, a man touching a woman or a woman touching a man. Of course, there are parts in India where people have moved on and have got different, you know, they've changed. But there's still
Yeah,
a
I
lot
know.
of parts in India where they still have that point of view. So a hug is
I,
like a really, really far-fetched. You know, it's like really, really willing to receive.
I get it. And at the end of the day, right? It's just a point of view, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a point of view. I mean, fuck, in certain countries today, you still have the hug police. Like literally, like that's not what they're called. I think they're called like the etiquette police or something. And like, you know, it's like if you're hugging and showing affection in public, you're gonna get fined or thrown in jail. That's absurd. All in the name of whatever the God is. It's disrespectful for God, or because of what it may invoke in the person. Like, what if that was just an interesting point of view? So we have this beautiful miracle called our bodies and our earth. And it has a superior level of consciousness to it until we come along and fuck it up with our interesting points of view. And what would it take to change that? And that is part of the journey and using the tools and access and what they can create for you. Is the body going to die someday? Yes. The being lives forever. Will the body die someday? Absolutely. But do we have to have the point of view that it breaks down every step of the way once we reach a certain age? Have you ever seen people in their 80s that are full of life and vigor? What would it take for us to have that? And then when it's time to go, it's just time to go. It doesn't have to be all this intense suffering. What would that take? But my interesting point of view here is to have the joy of embodiment, not just with and for my body, but the joy of embodying this reality, not getting consumed by this reality, but not being at the effect of this reality and not having to fight against this reality or to even change it, but simply maybe contribute to creating a different reality. To me, that's part of the joy of embodiment. And that's one of my targets. Does it mean I'm never going to have a headache again? No. Does it mean I'm never going to get constipated or the loosies again? No. You know, I'm sure that will happen. I'm coming to India, so I hope I don't do it. You know, I take proper measures to, you know, I'm not going to like let the shower water run into my mouth like I did. You know, I'm going to brush my teeth with bottled water. This, you know, I just, you know, I'm going to bring, you know, I found this great parasite cleanse, which is fantastic. It's like a miracle thing and it's all natural and it works like a charm, you know. And the last time I was in India, it was wonderful. I felt like I'd lived in India for 500 years. Seriously, you know, and it's just grand and glorious. But what I want to talk about really quick though, before, because I know you had a question, at Dane's SOP class, and a lot of you were there, what we got to for India was quite miraculous from my point of view. It was a space that I'd never seen India get to in all my years in Access, and it was just so beautiful, and it was sort of this representation of how much is changing and how much India is receiving now in such a different and beautiful, miraculous way. And it was just so beautiful. And that's why I actually chose. They asked me, where do you want to go to do this opening of the symphony class? I'm like, I want to go back to India. You know, and you reached out to me too, Shonda, and you're like, hey, everybody wants you to come back. And let's do a body class the following weekend. And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's build upon the space we got to when Dane and I were there. When was that exactly? I can't remember. In June or something, or I don't remember. April?
June, yeah.
It was
June.
in June, yeah. I mean, you know, God, it was so beautiful, but it's like, what else is truly possible? And it was like, nobody was really asking about personal stuff. It was really about like, what's possible with this work? Like, what's possible? There wasn't any Academy Award winning speeches. It was like, hi, what's possible? Let's go. Can we just go? And it was fucking beautiful, man. And I was like, are we even in India? Like, is this really, it was amazing. So yeah, what else is possible? And yeah, I'm just grateful and honored to be part of this creation and for the future.
And if I can just add here, Anthony, I've attended your 3-day body class earlier in India, and the 3-day I have attended a number of 3-day body classes, and your 3-day body class that I attended, it's about 4 years back, was it? It changed so much, not just in my body, but the way I started making choices and the ease with which I chose and received. That was the one big change that I recognized in my world after your class. And, people may feel a body class is just about fixing a back or fixing something called diabetes or, something like that.
Yeah.
But, the 3-day body class changes so much. And your class taught me how to receive.
Thank you.
Literally,
Cool.
it allowed me to be willing to show up and to actually receive.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you're welcome. And truly, I mean, for everyone who's done a 3-day body class before or hasn't, this is really an invitation to all of you. Dr. Anthony Mattis is coming to India. He does not come to India very often. Just happens to be coming within 1 year. How did we get so lucky? But yeah, I mean, the opening of Symphony and the 3-day body class, a combination of both. What can that create for your bodies? What can that create in your world?
For your life.
Yeah.
For your lives. And it is about, thank you, Shanana, for that, because it is about possibilities. It's not about, hey, can you fix my diabetes? We don't claim to fix anything. But what we do say is that if you're interested in possibilities, nobody knows what's going to show up for you. And come to these classes. It's the right place for you. It's a generative place and space for you. And I just want to acknowledge you because you are also a 3-day body facilitator as well. And a lot of times when people become 3-day body facilitators, they don't no longer host other 3-day body facilitators. And the fact that you're actually hosting me it's not only an acknowledgement, but it's a wonderful example of no competition. And so I just want to thank you and acknowledge you for creating the space for me to come again and to really just be the space of co-creation, or I don't really know how to say it, but it's different. And I just want you to know that.
Thank you. And you have facilitated me a lot, Anthony. I mean, it's like what, 5 years, 6 years? I don't even know how many years it's been since I've met you and been taking sessions from you. And every session of yours, every private session, or every group session that you give changes so much with just an ask and with just us lying down on that table and you working on us. I mean, so many parts of our lives just start to kind of, so beautifully just shift and change and just kind of just open up where we thought there was a block or where we believed that we were stuck. It kind of just opens up, and there's this beautiful, beautiful energy that you bring into the world. And truly, I'm just so grateful for you in my world, and I adore you. Thank you.
Well, I adore you too. Yeah. And what though? But here's the thing. Gary said this to me a long time ago. If you can perceive and receive it, you can be it. right? So I'm not the source. I'm just someone who's contributing to your awareness of what you already be, but either have forgotten because of implants and explants, right? Or didn't even know was possible until now. So you're actually just accessing you, right? So your acknowledgement of me is because you be it too. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you could perceive and receive it, you can be it. And that's what it is. And then you get to have the space now and move forward. And then you have these choices available to you that you didn't otherwise think you had available, because you're like, who's pathetic old me? You know, but no, when you start to become aware of these energies, you're like, holy shit, that's me too. And that's what the opening of the symphony creates. That's what the 3-day body classes create, is you accessing more of you. And that's always been my target. And one of my greatest joys in life is being able to contribute to you accessing you. Watching and perceiving the light bulbs go off in your universe about your magnificence.
And that's a healer, right? You healing, like literally you being the space of healing yourself and everything around you.
Yeah.
The willingness, yeah.
Bingo. At the most supreme level, from my point of view.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what if we were all conduits for each other? And that's what makes, when the participants, you know, the facilitator, we're so grateful when people show up, because you create the class. The facilitator gets facilitated. You know, I get facilitated when you get facilitated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. As always. Wow.
So
Looking
yeah, so
forward
thank
to-
you.
Yes.
Forward to seeing you in January. And the first part, the
Yes.
end of January, first part of February.
Yes. And everyone who'd like to get more information about the classes, you can always reach out to Nidhi or me, Reena, Manju, Shivani for the 3-day body class, and Sangeeta. And for the opening of symphony, you can reach out to Dattu or to me, and to Nidhi, Shivani, and Sangeeta. And both the classes are going to be in Delhi. So if you require any assistance, if you're coming in from out of Delhi, feel free to reach out to us. And we're looking forward to having you in India, Anthony. How did India get so lucky?
Totally.
Yeah,
And
me too.
also register beforehand so that we don't have to say there's no place left.
Yeah. And no table for you.
Yeah.
Make you lie down on the floor.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you, Anthony.
you.
Thank you
Yeah.
for taking time out. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Bye.